Stunning 911 calls and gruesome details that are emerging in the tragic case of 18 Penn State fraternity members charged in the hazing death of sophomore Timothy Piazza. His fraternity brothers allegedly ignoring him for 12 hours. I mean, at times they were dumping water on him and putting books on his chest, so not completely ignoring him. But essentially, they left him to die after he fell down a flight of stairs because he was very drunk. Trace Gallagher has more on this from our West Coast Bureau tonight with the latest. Trace.
Martha, we'll play the entire call, but first some context. 19-year-old Tim Piazza was involved in a hazing ritual where you drink as much as possible in 2 minutes. Piazza's blood alcohol was 4 times the legal limit to drive a car. Alcohol was mentioned during the 911 call, but there was no mention of him falling down a flight of stairs and no mention of him falling on his head several times throughout the night. Listen.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
220 North Fair Street.
You said 229?
220 North Fair Street.
Okay, what's your name?
Ryan McCann.
And what's going on today?
We have a friend who is unconscious. He hasn't moved. He's cold extremity. He's probably need an ambulance.
Okay, how old is he?
He is 19? Yeah, 19 years old.
And was he breathing?
He is breathing.
Was there any alcohol or anything involved, do you know?
Yes, there is.
All right, we'll get somebody over there, okay? If anything changes, just call back and let us know.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Yeah, notice how calm. The grand jury report said the fraternity showed indifference to clear signs that Tim Piazza was in trouble and then vigorously tried to conceal evidence. For example, after Piazza had been taken to the hospital, but before he was pronounced dead, there were a series of text messages with one fraternity brother writing, quote, "Make sure the pledges clean the basement and get rid of any evidence of alcohol." A pledge responds, "They're taking care of the basement." Then another text on the severity of the situation, quote, like, "What did most of the damage?" Response, "He fell down a flight of stairs because he was too drunk." "You can't blame yourself," says a pledge. "How can I not? I don't think you fully comprehend the situation. He looked effing dead." And then after Piazza dies, there is this text, quoting, "If need be, just tell them what I told you guys. Found him behind an away bar the next morning around 10 a.m. and he was freezing cold, but we decided to call 911 instantly because the kid's health was paramount." The grand jury noted the Greek life system at Penn State is a danger to human life. Martha.
Thank you, Trace. Here now, Sam Ruland, who is Penn State University student and editor-in-chief of the daily Collegian. Sam, thank you. You have done very strong reporting on this story, and I would imagine that it is not easy for you to cover this and to read these text messages and the callousness that is in them.
Yes, thank you for having me, Martha. It's unbelievable reading through these messages and the court documents. Just there was no mourning period or grief period for these boys with their disregard to those text messages and trying to cover up what happened that night.
I mean, there is, you know, unlike previous cases, there's videotape that is very high quality that was taken from cameras all over the inside of this fraternity house, correct? I mean, they have an enormous amount of evidence over this entire time frame. So these guys are likely in big trouble.
Yeah, there was video footage from the entire night. It saw video of when he first fell down the stairs, the basement camera, because he fell down the basement steps. That video footage was not uncovered because that camera wasn't working, but the camera has footage of him walking towards the basement. It monitors him falling several times throughout the night, and people slapping him, punching him in the stomach where, like, there was an issue with his spleen, backpacking him where they were putting textbooks on him in case he rolled over. Many of them just kind of disregarding any of the pain that he was in. It shows him, though, kind of rolling up into a ball at one point when he was still alive at 6 a.m.
It's unbelievable. I mean, is this shocking to you, what was going on at this event, or is this something everybody just sort of knows happens at these pledging events?
I don't think the actual part of the hazing in terms of the gauntlet, the 2-minute alcohol drinking period, was what was shocking. I think everyone who goes to a university, a college, especially where there are fraternities, they know that this is what happens in those houses behind closed doors where no one is there to monitor what the boys do and what's being done. I think what was shocking was just then reading how it was handled, just in disregard for human life in general.
I mean, it is appalling to read through this indictment and these charges and the recklessness that he was treated with, and the fact that at some point one of the younger members wanted to get him help, and he was roughed up as well. He was pushed against a wall, correct?
Yes, he was pushed against a wall, and there were a few other boys messaging the messages who had expressed concern. One of the boys actually said, Tim Piazza actually might be a problem. He fell down 15 stairs hair first, but that was at 11:53 p.m. 11:53 p.m. that night, but yet there were no messages responding to that, or at least in the court document.
I mean, you know, they texted all of this. There is so much evidence in this case, it is kind of overwhelming. Let's put up a few more of these text messages, and it is shocking because, you know, in a way, I know that, you know, all these kids have been told if you text something, it doesn't disappear, and now they've learned that lesson the hard way. End that group me, it says, so there's no evidence on Tim's phone because they had group messages, so they were trying to cover their tracks. That's obviously tampering with evidence. Here's one more. What do you think they would sue for? That he passed away or how he handled it? I mean, it is so callous, Sam. It is unbelievable. Quick last thought.
That president of the fraternity, Brendan Young himself, his major is risk management. It's concerning how
We're out of time.
almost idiotic in a sense of how they didn't respond and thought that no one would find it.
We'll talk again. We're going to be right back.
Okay.